There was no doubting that the 1990 Esso British Touring Car Championship did have its exciting moments. At the front of the field, these were generally provided by Andy Rouse in pursuit of eventual champion Rob Gravitt. But this was to be the last year of the 500 horsepower Ford Sierra Cosworths. Behind them, the new 2-litre formula was demonstrating what top-class saloon car racing is really like. Evenly matched cars, evenly matched drivers, and although the class was dominated by BMW and Vauxhall last year, the new 2-litre formula has encouraged a greater spread of manufacturers to prove their worth in Britain's most competitive motor racing championship. In 2 seasons, the RAC Motorsports Association have streamlined the championship from 4 classes to one very straightforward format. 2-litre engines, maximum 6 cylinders, limited to 8,500 revs, unleaded fuel, and a limit on tyres requiring teams to strike a skillful balance between qualifying and the race. In theory, the teams running in the formula last year should have the advantage. That means BMW and also Vauxhall with their powerful lineup of Jeff Allen and former champion John Cleland. There's a Ford Sapphire for Rob Gravitt, and Toyota looking fresh from the showroom with Gary Ailes partnering the experienced Andy Rouse in the Caliber team. After the Cosworth of the previous years, for Rouse, a new challenge and a new car in the Toyota Carina.
It's a different car altogether. It's a different technology. In a way, it's a shame to lose 550 horsepower worth of Sierra, but you know, you can't stop progress, and progress is certainly the 2-litre formula with 5 or 6 different manufacturers' works teams on the grid, and you know, a very competitive field of cars. You know, that's good progress as far as I'm concerned, and I'm prepared to work with that, and I'm pleased to be part of it in conjunction with Toyota. We've got no race experience with our car. That is a handicap for sure. So as the race goes on, I'll be learning about how to beat a BMW with a Toyota, and hopefully by the end of the race I'll have figured that one out.
He's also got to work out how to beat talented drivers from Formula One. Enter Jonathan Palmer. He'll be with the Works BMW team.
What sort of experience have you had in the past which particularly equips you for what might happen out there?
Virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. No. I have done a couple of touring car races in the past. I did the Tourist Trophy back in 83 or 84, I think, also with a BMW. Shared it with James Weaver and finished second there. Had a lot of fun on the way. But no, it's pretty new to me. And I'm finding that it's quite a novelty being able to travel 6 inches behind another car through a corner and not lose all your downforce and have to drop back. You know, this is one of the reasons why the racing is so close.
Is that the great contrast that you're going to find? You've been dialing out the laps in the World Sports Car Championship, but this really is white-knuckle racing, isn't it?
Yeah, you see, that's right. I mean, in Formula One and sports cars, when you've got downforce, the closer you get to the car in front, you lose the downforce, and that tends to make the cars, or encourage the cars to run spaced apart rather a lot. You know, when you get close, you don't get the grip and you tend to fall back. With these cars, you don't lose your cornering grip, and you can just have cars packed together, 6 cars covered by a proverbial handkerchief, you know, still pounding round.
Joining Palmer in the Works BMW team, Steve Soper, one of Britain's best saloon car racers, seen here carving through the field in the 1988 Tourist Trophy. And Soper, so prominent in the German Touring Car Championship, would prove to be quickest in qualifying for the opening round at Silverstone. But alongside Soper, the Vic Lee-prepared BMW of Will Hoy had split the Works cars, with Rob Gravitt, the defending champion, way back. No one had dominated a championship from Class A like Gravitt had in 1990. But a contrasting start to the new season, as lack of testing in the new Sapphire had left Gravitt back in 19th place, a rather resigned figure, waiting his turn in the lunchtime parade lap, staged before a huge Silverstone crowd. There was no doubting that the new single-class formula has captured the imagination of the motorsport public. The Silverstone crowd boosted to over 20,000, and, as hoped, the manufacturers had responded equally enthusiastically. And looking down the field, there are something like a dozen drivers with a genuine chance of victory. Rouse's 4th qualifying spot in the Toyota Carina, a very fine performance among the experienced runners from BMW and Vauxhall. Labatt's BMWs for Lawrence Bristow and Tim Harvey. No Frank Sittner, who suffered engine problems in qualifying, but 5 manufacturers at Silverstone, with the likes of Nissan and Rover and possibly Audi still to come. Teams with big ambitions and some very big budgets, but Vauxhall and Cleland in particular had something to live up to.
Almost
home to win the British Touring Car Championship of 1989, John Cleland in his Vauxhall Astra 16 valve. A very potent combination indeed.
Cleland followed up that 1989 success with a very effective season last year in the 2-litre Vauxhall Cavalier. Cleland regularly on the pace with the BMWs, and the feeling was that the team, having gained an advantage with their experience of last season, would build on it during close season testing and make themselves the team to catch.
It's been a long time since October last year, and we seem to have tested everywhere. We've spent days in the rain at Snetterton, we spent a week in the south of France testing, and it would appear that we've not really gone any quicker than we did in October of last year. But it's a long season, and going by the practice times this morning, I would say that it's going to be a very close season. There's about 10 or 11 cars covered by just under a second. The disappointing thing is we tried some tactics with the rear suspension which didn't work, and frankly we're about half a second slower than we ought to be.
And that means that Cleland could once again find himself among the cut and thrust of the pack, where the adrenaline flows and there's sometimes a generous interpretation of the racing line. Improved behaviour and stronger discipline promise to be among the themes of the 1991 championship.
The RAC have said that they're going to penalise and yellow and red card the drivers that misbehave. I think personally that's a good idea. The sooner that came into motorsport, the better, into this level of motorsport, the better. I think when people see the Ayrton Sennas of this world pushing off the other drivers, then he gets away with it, and why can't we? I think the quicker the RAC moved on that one, the better. It's going to be hard, there's going to be some panel bashing, it won't necessarily be deliberate, but I think there'll definitely be some panel bashing.
So far, it has been clean and tidy with very, very little contact. Last year, I think saloon car racing in general got a bad reputation. There was a lot of bodily contact. This year, a
season then that starts with the best intentions and what seems to be the best possible format. The end result, after a couple of stirring seasons, could be the finest championship yet.